Hey guys, Stephen here from Heresy Academy. In this video we're going to do the coding for our structures, and what I mean by that is when we collide with them we'll destroy, we'll damage the wooden structures, glass structures and our enemies, and then if something hits them again it'll break them. So we'll be setting that up. You may have seen something similar to this done in other videos about Angry Birds. I think they only did the changing the sprite of the enemy and destroying the enemy. Also setting up a particle system. I won't be doing the particle system in this video as it'll be a bit more required, like how to actually make that particle system rather than just copy what someone's already got, sort of thing. So yeah, I'll just crack on with this. I did open up the Projectile Script. I was having a look through it, making sure I've not missed anything out, but everything's good here. So what I want to do is just go down here, and as a matter of fact we'll create a new folder called scripts. I was going to move the projectile script, but I forgot again. So grab the projectile script and just drop it in there. I think I wasn't going to move it just in case it messes up, but it's just going to load it in again, make sure it's okay, or maybe it's not. Perhaps I shouldn't have moved it. What's in my scripts folder, I want to create another C# script, and I'm just going to call it damage. And the way I'm setting this up, it's just in one singular script, and we can attach it to pretty much any object we want. I won't actually do the TNT in this video either, because that'll be a bit more messing around, so I'll put that in a later video. I do have a couple of plans for videos. I think possibly 3 videos I hope to record today. We've got this one, which will be setting up the script for the structures, damaging and destroying the structures, setting up the camera so it will follow the projectile, and in a different video, if you can hear the dog I apologise, in a different video we just had the camera sort of snap across as the projectile moved, which is okay, but you'd be basically aiming blind, because if you've got some structures over here, you won't see them, you won't be able to know they're there. So what we'll be doing as well, we'll be adding in some arrow inputs, so we can move the camera to the right and left to scan across. I know in Angry Birds you can squeeze the screen with your fingers and zoom in and out, and it actually starts with it zoomed out, so you actually zoom in to look better, stuff like that. Because we're not setting this up for an Android, I'm not going to be doing squeeze, but I'll show you how to transition across with the camera, which will be pretty useful for other projects. And at a later date I'll adapt all of this that we've done just to show you the changes to setting up for Android, iOS for mobiles. And then the other video will be to basically set up the what's it called, the screen collider, or the screen boundaries. So if your projectile made it outside the screen, for now it'll just reset, but of course you basically want it to destroy your projectile and you'll reinstantiate another one. So we'll be doing that again. We will do it to just reset for now, and then in a later video we'll set up either the cards that I've talked about from Angry Birds 2, or have sort of like a stockpile of ammo. So that's the basic plan at the moment. If things change I'll let you know, because I've added these 2 videos as separate ones rather than trying to do one big video. So yeah, we'll go to my damage script and we will open it now. So I don't know what's going to happen, if Mono Develop's going to crash or not. No, it works fine, great. So like I said, I'm setting this up as one script. I'll show you one way you could do it, but it's not the way we're going to do it. So I don't know why I was going to get rid of these. I want to go above these, and one way you could do it, we'll put in a public integer, call it enemy HP, not HO, HP, and let's have this equal to 3. Then a public integer, the wood HP, and then so on and so on, so that you'd have it set up to sort of recognise each other object's health points or hit points. And then the only problem with this is then you'd have to load in what each object is. So there's a wood there, that's the enemy, that's glass, stone, etc. So just to carry on a quick bit, I'll add in stone HP, and public integer glass HP, and then make the stone equal to 3, make the stone equal to 1, the glass. So the way this would work, we're making it a public integer so you can edit it in the inspector view of Unity, but what I'd much rather do is just basically make everything, I think you call it generic, yeah, you'd call it generic, I'm sure. So we'll go back here now and we'll just do a public integer and we'll call it hit points. You can call it HP. We'll just make this equal to 3. It's a public integer so you can change it for each object, but you could write HP, not human pose. So you could have it called public integer HP. You can shorten things. I do have a habit of doing shortened references just because I understand what they are and I don't tend to share the script, so I'm making it a bit more obvious as to what the things are at the moment. I want to do a public sprite and we'll call this our damage sprite. This will be important because we'll be using this to switch the sprites across as you get hit and you lose your points. Now, I don't actually think I've got a damage sprite for the enemies, so let's think now. I don't think we've got one. So I'll leave off the enemy at the moment, and what will happen is it'll basically go invisible, which it'll be okay. Or I'll put the enemy to have 1 health or something just so it completely goes away. But in a later video I can show you properly. If you consider Angry Birds has got those pigs, and you can have a pig with a helmet, so if it gets hit on the head it seems to survive better. Or in Angry Birds 2 you've got some pig that it wears a hat, and after you've thrown something it grows a balloon, it inflates and floats up and floats around. Sometimes it drops, sometimes you've got to hit it. You've got a pig that holds an umbrella, so if it falls, it doesn't take any fall damage because it falls slowly. So if the structure falls from underneath it, it just falls down, unless you've destroyed the umbrella. What else could you have? You've got a red pig that's sort of on fire, and if you hit that, it explodes, but it seems to take a couple, like, more of a hit than most things. Stuff like that. So it's what's it called? It's a lot more varying than the way we're going to do it now. This is quite a basic setup, and I'll carry on because I'm just talking for a bit. So we'll do a public float now, and this will be our damage impact speed. Impact speed, yeah, or step. Now we'll call it speed. So basically, we're just calling it this. This is basically the power of how it hits. So you could just call it damage impact if you wanted. And then, like we've done 3 public, we're going to do 3 private. And one of them will be our current hit points. One of them will be our impact speed, but squared, because later on we'll compare magnitude. And I've mentioned before, it's better to compare the square magnitude than normal magnitude. It doesn't make too much of a difference. But if you've got a bigger project and you're comparing magnitudes all the time, eventually you'll notice it'll be a lot quicker to do square magnitude. And then we want a private sprite renderer. There are a couple more objects like a collider 2D and a rigid body, which I'm pretty sure we'll need to make a private reference to and then grab those. They might work, they might not, so we'll find out, and I might add them in as well. But right now I just want a public integer, call it current hit points. Just to make the variable name a bit smaller, you could just put current HP or core HP. Like, you know, it's up to you what you name things, as I've said. I'm just making them longer so you can basically, yeah, that is definitely the current hit points because it says current hit points, which is kind of obvious. So we'll do another public float, and this will be our damage, impact, speed, but then I'll just write a 2 next to it. This is going to be the squared. You can write SQR if you wanted, or something, just so you've got a better reference. But like I said, I write them just as a 2 because I can't write the little 2 in the corner, but that's basically what it means. That's called the power of 2, I suppose it's called. And the next one we want is a private sprite renderer. Just there, private sprite renderer, and just call that sprite renderer. Again, just make it really obvious that that is the sprite renderer. And this is all we need for our declarations. What would you call these? And names, but not namespaces. Our declarations or something for now. In the start function, we will actually, well, we'll give them a definition or give them a declaration. I don't actually know what you'd call this top section, to be fair. I suppose you can call it what you want. So first of all, I want the sprite renderer, and then that is going to be equal to get component. What this means is we're grabbing the sprite renderer of the object that this script will be attached to. And I've just done that wrong. That should be a capital S. There we go. That's one problem with having like the reference name or the variable name the same as what the object is, because if it catches you out with a lowercase one, it'll try and grab the reference point. It's like, well, I don't know what that is, even though it is a sprite renderer with a capital S, and you've called it one with a lowercase s here. It'll try and grab the lowercase one. If you write lowercase, it gets confused. We're going to set our current hit points to be equal to our hit points. And the reason I'm doing this is because the hit points here, that's a public integer, is free. So let's say we put this on the stone structures, have them as free. But if you put them on the wooden structures, and we change that to be 2, so any wooden structure that has this script, the current hit points will equal to 2 rather than 3, sort of thing. Then we want to add in our damage impact speed 2, and like other videos, we just want to make it equal our damage impact speed times our damage impact speed. And then, do we need an update? That's probably why I was going to delete it before. We don't need to do the update function. We might do later on, I think. Maybe later on I'll add it in if I have to. So what I'm going to go for now is a void, and then on trigger enter 2D, and then why is it on trigger enter? Hang on. No, it's not trigger, pardon me. We're going for on collision. We haven't got any triggers, we want it to be on collision. Still enter, and then I'm going to go for collision 2D, and then we'll call this collision. You can call it whatever you want. This is now the name of our reference point. Open our curlies inside. So if you have watched a version of this video done by Unity, you'll see that they'd have put something in here using the compare tags and stuff like that. We're not going to use the compare tags because the way they did it, they just did it for the enemy sprite, and then you put other objects as a damage tag. But we're going to be damaging everything, so we don't need to tag anything because everything we collide with will damage each other. So any collision will do. Pardon me, I've got a bit of a dodgy throat. But we will do one line that they did, and that'll be if the collision, if I can learn to spell, there we go, if collision dot relative velocity, this is where the impact speed actually comes in here, and then comparing the dot square magnitude. If it is less than our damage impact speed 2, then what we want to do is just basically return. So open curlies just to open on there. Just return that, because if the say less than or more than. Oh yeah. So this is basically setting up saying this is kind of the limit of which we want it to be travelling at so much of a speed to actually do any damage. So we'll be changing this around a bit as we need to. Let's think. Again, with the wood, we could set the wood up to be 2, and that could need a less of an impact speed than the stone. You would actually configure it to be more about what the projectiles are. Well, since we're not using other projectiles, I'm setting it up this way. But at a later video, if I add in other projectiles and say you've got a big rock and I don't know, a wooden rock, not a wooden rock, but a wooden projectile or an explosive projectile, stuff like that, you'd change this around. I'll come to that when we need to. So what we want to do now on collision enter 2D, any collision we do, we want to get our sprite renderer, and then we want to change the sprite, and it will be equal to our damage sprite. Now, again, I'm setting this up across different objects, so the damage sprite, I'll show you when it comes to setting it up how it matters that we're doing it as one singular script rather than trying to script everything all together at once, because we're going to call loads of information that we don't really need to do for every single object. And the current hit points, for now, we will decrement, or we'll decrease it by 1 every time. I'm just going to have to pause a second. I need a drink. Sorry about that, guys. I'm back now. Yeah. So then what we're going to do is we're going to destroy our object and stuff, but we're going to set it up as a function. Just call it destroy, call it kill, def, call it whatever you want. But I'm not going to try to reference it now because it doesn't actually exist because we've not made it. And there's a few ways now to destroy objects. You could just say if the hit points is equal or less than 0, destroy object or destroy collision. Collision being this is what we've called. So it's getting the information about what's collided with it. Oh, hang on. Sorry, no, you wouldn't do that. You would do it as you'd reference yourself as in the object that's been collided with, and then destroy that. But we're going to set it up in this function, and we'll turn off things like the sprite renderer, the collider, the physics itself, and then we'll do that because you can add in a particle system, which I mentioned earlier in the video, and we'll do the particle system in a later video. And then just set it up to say, right, when the particle system is finished, just destroy the objects. So we'll leave that for now. And we'll go down, make it void def, nope, not def, getting there. Okay, so inside here, like I said, we want to get our sprite renderer, then dot enabled is equal to false, that's turning it off now, and our collider 2D, yeah, I figured we'd have to get a reference for them. Dot enabled equals false. It'll come up with red now because I've not actually set it up properly. I'll do that in a moment to sort of show you. Then rigid body 2D dot is kinematic equals true. Remember, kinematic says that physics doesn't affect it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to make a private private collider 2D. Do you not like that something? Alright, we'll do it this way instead then. We'll make a private game object and we'll just call this GOBJ. No, let's not call it that, stupid. Just call it game object. Okay, we don't want to make it private then, do we? We'll make it public, sorry, because I'm going to add it in per each script. And I'm going to highlight it and drag it up here. Maybe not. Okay, forget that then. There we go. I'll show you this now, or not now, but I'll show you this after we finish the script, and I'll show you how we're setting it up. So with our collider 2D, I'll change this to be our game object. Why did I do that? Sorry. Right before it, game object. Dot collider 2D. Dot rigid body. Why do you not like this? Okay, well, maybe we do it that way. No? Okay, let's just have to excuse me a minute then, because I think I may have made an issue. Right, I'll tell you what we need to do then. So get our public game object here, and let's make a few private references here then. So private collider 2D, and we'll just call this collider 2D. And we'll do one rigid body. Private rigid body. I think the issue might have been that I didn't use capital letters here. So in the start function, just like our sprite renderer, just want to go collider 2D. No. Alright, okay, I don't think you can call it collider. So obj collider and obj rigid body. Calling them obj, that just means object. Obj collider 2D equals, and the same as our get component here. Sorry about this, guys. Didn't really prepare this. I've made my notes with a rough idea of how to do it, but I keep forgetting about the get component has changed. I spent a lot of time working on a different program, so yeah. Then we want to get our collider 2D here. Do you not like that something? Oh, okay, yeah. Apologise again. And then our obj rigid body 2D, very much the same, is our get component, and then rigid body 2D, like that. Then for this down here now, we'll get rid of that completely, and we'll get rid of that completely. So right, dot enabled there. And what I'll do, so it doesn't matter which, well it does actually. Oh no, it's not enabled, sorry. Dot is kinematic. So for this one, the dot enabled, we're going to get our object collider 2D and drop that in front. And then for the dot kinematic, I've got that to be object rigid body. So what I've done there, I made the mistake again. I think I've done it in previous videos as well. I've just tried to directly access the collider 2D and the rigid body, which doesn't work anymore. So you've got to get these reference points. So you can get rid of the public game object now. The reason it didn't work earlier is because I was writing it as that instead. And what that is the capital letters. It's very important to consider the capital letters. And then I made this, I called it collider 2D with a lowercase. But there's already an existing reference for collider 2D with a lowercase. So calling your colliders 2D, the lowercase version, doesn't always work. It can get itself confused. But this works like this now. And like I said, this is where we'll add in a particle system later on, but we won't do that just yet because we need to set up the particle system. I don't want to just say, oh, I've got this particle system here and just drag it in. I want to go through how it's made, make an actual video about particle systems, and then that's basically two birds, one stone. So back to our on collision enter 2D now. This is just where we compare our hit points. So if, and inside the brackets, current hit points is less than or equals to 0. That's what that is, by the way. I may have used it a few times before. If you put something like plus equals or minus equals, it's basically checking that it's plus. It's a bad example, really. So what you say here is 10 plus equals 5. What that will do is rather than going 10, right, okay. I wasn't prepared to explain this, you see, so it's right here now. This is the same as writing 10 equals 10 plus 5. So instead of writing 10 plus 5, you just put plus and equals. Like I said, I wasn't prepared to explain this today. I should stick to what the plan is, otherwise I get myself flustered. So I'll do videos on the actual concepts or the fundamentals of the C#, including shortcuts like that and things like that. But we'll save that for when I'm supposed to do it. So open up the curlies here. Oh, I thought I lost it then. And basically, if the current hit points is less than or equal to 0, we're going to call our def function. And open the parentheses and close your semicolon. So, to an explanation of what's going to happen, we're going to attach this script to our enemy, and we're going to attach this script to the wooden structures, the glass structures, any other structures we've got, and we'll change the hit points depending on what the structures are. we'll attach a sprite, which will be our damage sprite, which, like I said, I haven't got one for the alien, but this concept now, if you make one for your aliens, your enemies, you'll be able to make it work, because I'll show you how. Then the damage impact speed, we'll change this around to see, what we want it to be. We've got our private integer, which is our current hit points. Like I said, down here, we've set the current hit points to equal our hit points because we're going to change them. It's not going to be a definite thing, because if everything was going to have free, then you wouldn't need to make this and make the changes. You can just literally just say everything's going to be free. What's we got? So the damage impact speed 2. This is the squared equivalent, that's the word I was looking for before, of damage impact speed, because we'll compare the magnitude down here, the squared magnitude, and rather than go for damage impact speed times damage impact speed down here, we've just made a reference to make the squared version. I've added in 3 private objects: a Sprite Renderer, a Collider 2D, and rigid body. This is because we want to access these 3 components on whatever the script is attached to, which is, if we did it the other way, where we declared every single item, every single thing, like the public integer health, public integer wood, etc., enemy health, wood health, we'd have to attach all the objects, and then we'd have to reference it all and say, well, the enemy health is attached to the enemy.get component, and the wood, it'd be the wood.get component sort of thing. We put it all into one script, and literally the get component gets the component with what of the object that this script is attached to. To attach it to multiple objects, this would be a good example of explaining that. On collision, enter 2D. So when one collision hits another, we're accepting it for any collision. We're not going to tag it up and say, well, it has to be projectile tagged, or as the Unity people did, as a damager. The damager will work if you set certain objects to be damagers and then you decided that some things aren't, but it's going to get a bit messy trying to tag everything. Tag everything, and then everything's going to collide with everything under this specific tag, and it can get a bit messy. One thing that you'd want to consider, actually, I just thought of, is when you click play, if the objects hit the ground, you're going to damage them. But you can mess around with that and tweak it as you wish and set the positions accurately enough and stuff. So yeah, if the collision.relative velocity.squared magnitude is less than the damage impact speed 2, which would be the squared equivalent of our damage impact speed, then we'll just return. So basically, this is where we're setting up our requirement to do damage has to be more than a specific amount. And then, so if it's correct, if it's collided, then we'll change the sprite to be the damage sprite, and we'll minus from the hit points. We won't keep messing around with sprites, but you could set it up in a step to say this is sprite 1, then sprite 2, further damage, etc. I could show you that as well. That could also be relevant in the breakout clone video series, so I may change that around a bit later on. And then we're just checking if the current hit points of any of the objects is less than or equal to 0. Then we'll call the def function, which turns off the sprite renderer, turns off the Collider 2D, and activates the is kinematic part of the rigid body 2D, which says, well, physics, I don't care. So I'm going to save this, jump back to Unity, let it load back in. If I get any errors, I'll try and address them now. I shouldn't get any errors though, because I'm pretty sure this now matches up. Okay. So what you'll notice as well, you've got something up here, the damage sprite. You could just attach a sprite here and say that's what everything will turn to, but because we're going to attach the script to multiple objects, we do not wish to do that. So let's now go through our structures here. In fact, no, sorry. Let's go to our prefabs. Let's think. So the background we don't want to touch. Everything's fine in the background. Level 1. Like I said, we don't want to touch the background. Slingshot platform, level platform, no. Structure level 1. No. I may have. Oh no, sorry. Here it is. Woo. Okay. So I should have probably set this up a bit better with this prefab though, but it does its job. Turn off the explosive one. I've selected them all. and then I'm going to attach my new script to all of them. So you can see there are 25 game objects. Oof, this is a silly way to do it. See, what I wanted to do, I should have set it up where basically this object is a prefab itself, so everything happens from that. This object is one prefab. For some reason, I did it a different way. It'll still work. It'll still work. It'll just be a bit. It's a very silly way to do it, but that's not a problem. So if I go now, structure element wood. No, I've not even got it on here. Well, this is no fun at all. What the point? What did I just attach it to? I apologise, guys. Right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you on this item here, and then I'm going to do a cleanup video. Really, really stupid. Right, I'll tell you what. We'll attach it to them all and get rid of that. I apologise, guys. I really did drop the ball on this one. So I've attached the sprite there, and components that are only on some of the selected objects cannot be multi-edited. So we don't need to worry about that really, because we've got the script on all of them here. What you want to look for all your aliens, and we'll put the health to 1 there. So as soon as they get hit, bam, they're dead anyway. The impact speed, we'll change the impact speed of everything later. Get all the metal objects in this, and we'll give them free health there. Metal, I thought it was stone, but never mind. What have we got now? Wood. I think I've got a stone actually, or a glass. Oh, never mind. Right, so we set that to 3. The damage sprite will be a bit harder to locate now, but I imagine you'll be way better organised than me. So I'm going to go to my physics Kenny folder and work on the metal here. So I'm just going to zoom in to make sure I can accurately find them. Probably helps if I open this up a bit now. No, it's not going to help. It's 2-column layout. This is why the 2-column layout is good. I'm going to drop this down to my view down here. Open it out a bit. So I've got the scene zoomed in onto these objects. I'm trying to find this specific object here. I've put it to 2-column layout. Gone to my imported. Gone to the physics Kenny. Gone to the PNGs. I'm working on the metal objects here. And now you can just zoom out like that. Zoom it in so you've got bigger shapes. So we're looking for one of this, and just to have a quick check, I did one of those. So I'm looking for 21. I didn't rotate them, so they should be standing up. So the point of this now is to look through these, and what would you say it was that one? If you go to number 21, go to number 22. Make sure you do the same pixels per unit, otherwise that's going to get a bit messy. So make sure you apply that. I'm pretty sure that'll be the one. So you've got here as well, you've got a further damage one, which you could do it up in 2 steps, like I said. But we're not going to do that just yet. And let's see what I was doing now. So we're going for metal 21. So select all the metal 21 objects here. That should be how it's being used. And grab, did we say it was metal 22? Grab the metal 22 with the damage sprite. It may not be the right one, because it does look a bit thinner, so I'm thinking perhaps it should be that one. I'm not too sure though. That looks like that's that one. I don't know. Okay. Then go for the metal 20. You've only got 3 of these in this structure. It looks like that'll be metal 25. So drag this over to your damage sprite. I should have definitely done a bit more planning on this one, to be fair. So now I'm going to go over to the wooden structures. So same over here. I'm going to go for the wooden structures. I want to find wooden structure 19, which is this one. Which is that one there, which I've rotated. So we look at number 24. So select all of my 19 woods. I'm playing golf. That could be a new one. Is that on the ball? 19, 19, 19, 19. Grab element 24. Drag it over to this one. And that should change this. Then this next one will be number 16, which is a bit more of a dinky one. smaller, so say that was number 21 there. Grab all of your 16 objects. Like I said, it'd be a lot easier to do this all just once as a singular prefab for each object, but I completely messed that one up. But I'll show you how to fix that in another video. Okay, then for the aliens, like I said, set the health to 1. All I've got is wood, metal aliens. We have got the explosive, but unfortunately, I'm not doing the explosive in this because I want to set that up to actually like explode and go boom. So yeah. Now, unfortunately for you guys, I do want to go and do structure level 2. So now, make sure you apply the changes to the prefab in that one. Now, as you see, we've used wood 19, wood 16, 20, and 21 again. So, what do we pick now? Let's pick off 19. We know that that's going to be element 24. But for starters, we want to select them all. Get rid of the explosive. There's just one explosive. Yep. Get rid of the explosive. Drag yourself back over to where your scripts are. Grab your damage script. Drop that in there. Go to your aliens. We've got more aliens in this one. Put their health to 1 so it just destroys. The reason I'm doing that again is because I haven't got a damage sprite for the aliens, and we're not set the particle system yet. So stuff that I'm doing right now will be changed a little bit, like the setting up for the prefabs should have done in a more efficient way. I think I was just trying to give you an idea of how to set up structures. So yeah, I hope you forgive me for that. Anyway, so let's go now back to the wood. I've got wood 19, I think we said that was wood 24. Yep. So you see all the wood items again have the script, so get wood 19, 19, 19. I'm pretty sure there's another one. I'm not seeing that one. Maybe another one there. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That looks right to my eyes there. So grab 24, drag it to the damage sprite. Now for 16, I believe that was number 21. Yep. So grab all of your 16 objects. I feel really terrible that I didn't do the prefabs right, because there's a lot easier method to do this. This is very manual, having to go for every single object, and I should have got it better. So now go to metal. Yeah. So metal 20. What did we say 20 would have been? 20 was rotated, so 20 was 25. I think it's set up to be 5 across 5 each way. So grab your metal 25, drop that in there. Did we change the health on the wood? No, we didn't. So I'm going to grab all the wood elements here, and this one. What should we give this? Well, let's say the wood we want 2. Keep the metal as 3. So for 20, 20, and 20, we've done that. So the next one is 21. And what did we say? 21, 26. So drag that across like that. By the looks of it, that should be correct. And it would help if we add some impact speed to everything. So impact speed, I didn't write this one down. Let's say we go for 3. Same again for structure level 1, but apply the changes here, just so I don't mess anything up, even though I messed it up royally anyway. Grab everything and give that impact speed of 3. Save it, well, save the prefab first and then save the project. Now it may take a little bit to load because it's going to end up loading like everything, but that's the longer way of attaching the script to everything. If the prefabs were done right, you just had to attach it to one instance of it and it would affect them all, but I didn't do that. So yeah. Now you'll notice I haven't done the camera and I haven't done a screen collider, so there'll be no reset, so you just basically get one try. There's no ammo, there's just one projectile. So we'll get this to load up. Like I say, it may take a little bit. But this is concluding this video. I will be doing the camera video and the screen limits. They won't be as long as this video, just because there's less involved. I'll do the cleanup video just to sort of, or another example video of how to change the doodles. I don't know what I'm talking about now. Let's just drag this down. See, I hope I'll show you. I hope that makes sense. See, the issue is I think they do collide once or twice of everything. Let's see. Oh, okay, right. So the sprite works, but you may have noticed the size change. So that's one very, very important thing there. Let's go to Wood 19 element over there. I'm letting the projects. So pretty sure everything went to 50 pixels per unit as well. So make sure that's the same, otherwise it shrinks. Wood 16 and be Wood 21, was it? Drop that to 50. We did that. Then the metal. We don't have to do this for every single one. We just make sure we do it. This time it works. It's just one instance. 50, and then 21 will be 26. That's right. Make sure that'll be at 50. So what I'll do now, like I said, we've not got the reset set up, so perhaps in the reset video I'll show you to manipulate the thing that we set up, the damage impact speed. So that's it for this video. There was a couple of little iffy errors, but not totally terrible. I'm trying my best not to script my videos. Like, I will write myself some notes, but I don't want to sit here and just read from a sheet and say, add this to that, and that makes it work. I want to sort of give my input as much as possible. So making mistakes as a programmer is natural, and it'll continue a lot throughout my career. It'll get less and less, obviously, because I'll become like some super pro expert. But everything is changing. Like every year, there'll be different versions of this, different versions of the code at the API, the application, something. I can't remember what it is now. But yeah, so yeah, we'll get there, and well, that's it really, I suppose. Stay tuned for the camera follow script. It's not going to be the exact same where it just follows the projectile and stops. Oh, that will be a main element of it. I want to be able to show you how to use arrow keys to make it move. It's not the most complex thing, so you could probably Google it and find how to do it, but you'll see it with this specific project. And also setting up the screen boundary. We'll probably set it up to be the same as the background, and then make it a bit bigger. Just basically say if your projectile goes out of that limit, we'll sort of destroy that projectile, and for starters we'll reset the game, and then we'll change it to be the cards or the ammo so you can spawn the next bird. What left to do? What have we got? We've also got the score, so we can probably place the score in this instance we could put the score down here or in this top corner somewhere, so lower things a bit or something, stuff like that. Yeah, so I'm just going to click play, make sure the sprite render does okay, just real quick. Or maximize. Let's think. I don't want everything to be just destroyed. There you go. You can see them sort of, they've all broken up a bit there and stuff. So it works. We're just going onwards and upwards. We're going to make it much better. And the actual assets for this are not the most ideal. If you look at Angry Birds, look at like the size of them. They're a lot thinner and stuff like that. The physics works a bit more fluidly, so we'll do another physics video, stuff like that. But yeah, give the video a thumbs up if you liked it. If you didn't like it, just give it a dislike. Let me know why, how to improve, some feedback. Let me know your questions. What do you want to learn? What do you want to know? And that's it for now. If you haven't subscribed though, I would say subscribe. I've got quite a ridiculous intro trailer video on there at the moment. It should give you like a minute and a half worth of laughs. So check that out and subscribe. See you later, guys.